From corporate mascots to serial killer disguises to self-aware digital viruses, the animatronic suits in Five Nights at Freddy's have gone from child-friendly entertainers to some of the most disturbing horror icons in gaming. But a handful stand out as uniquely terrifying, not just because they look scary, but because they sit at the exact intersection of machinery, human bodies, restless spirits, and weaponized artificial intelligence. Today, I'm breaking down the 9 most disturbing FNAF suits ever created, starting with the one that kicked off the entire nightmare. Spring Bonnie. Spring Bonnie seems like a normal mascot suit. Golden rabbit, purple vest, friendly wave, but it's not. This is a spring lock suit, meaning it functions as both an animatronic and a wearable costume. A hand crank compresses the internal endoskeleton away from the interior so a person can climb inside without being impaled. The problem is that moisture, rapid movement, or accidental contact with the mechanisms can cause catastrophic failure, sending compressed metal components snapping back with lethal force. Training materials in FNAF 3 explicitly warn about humidity and bodily fluids destabilizing the locks, so you're basically standing inside a bear trap designed to look like a rabbit. But here's where it gets dark. William Afton used this exact suit to lure at least 5 children into the safe room at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. By appearing as a friendly yellow rabbit, he gained their trust, killed them, and stuffed their bodies into the animatronics, creating every haunted suit in the franchise. Spring Bonnie is ground zero for all of it. The suit was eventually decommissioned and locked away. Its final use came when Afton tried hiding from his victim's ghosts in that same safe room. He climbed inside one last time. The spring locks failed. The mechanism snapped inward and the costume became his coffin. Spring Bonnie looks like something you'd see in a real pizza arcade. That's exactly what makes it so disturbing. But if you think one yellow rabbit is unsettling, wait until you hear about the golden bear that literally bit a child's head in half. Fredbear is either the most tragic animatronic in FNAF history or the most cursed piece of machinery ever built for children's entertainment. And I can prove it. Before you dismiss this as just another Springlock suit, hear me out. Fredbear isn't just Spring Bonnie's twin, he's the oldest animatronic in the entire franchise. The literal foundation of everything that comes after. The golden bear performing for families at Fredbear's Family Diner, hiding the same deadly Springlock mechanism that would later kill William Afton. Same technology, same era, same inherent design flaw that could turn a mascot costume into a death trap with a single drop of sweat. But here's where it gets dark. At a birthday party in 1983, Fredbear's jaws clamped down on a child's skull with enough force to cause fatal brain injury. The bite of 83. The crying child, tormented by his older brother, shoved headfirst into Fredbear's open mouth as a cruel prank. Industrial-grade mechanical components designed to animate a full costume frame, deploying that same force onto a child's skull. That's not a freak accident. That's a machine with lethal capacity running loose in a room full of children. The real horror? The crying child's only comfort in life was his Fredbear plush. The same character. His only friend in a world of bullies and nightmare animatronics. And that same character, in suit form, killed him at his own birthday party. Trust, comfort, celebration, all ended by the one thing he loved. Later lore suggests the crying child's spirit might possess Golden Freddy, potentially sharing the suit with Cassidy, one of the missing children. Fredbear's legacy isn't just one death. It's the foundation for multiple hauntings, all stemming from a Springlock suit too dangerous to exist, but too profitable to retire. But if you think one ghost trapped in a golden bear is disturbing, wait until you see what happens when William Afton gets spring-locked inside Spring Bonnie and spends 3 decades rotting into the suit itself. Springtrap. William Afton trapped inside a Spring Bonnie suit for 30 years, rotting but still walking around, is either the most poetic death in FNAF or the most horrifying survival story in gaming history. And I can prove it's both. Springtrap looks like a moldy greenish rabbit animatronic with holes that expose both metal and human flesh underneath. But here's where it gets dark. Afton didn't just die in that suit. He was crushed by Springlock failure, meaning dozens of metal components snapped inward through his body simultaneously, impaling him from the inside out. The suit's springlocks were designed to compress the endoskeleton so a human could wear it, but moisture and panicked movement destabilized the mechanisms. Afton's own heavy breathing and water dripping from a damaged roof triggered the collapse. Every attempt to escape made it worse. The corpse has been decomposing for decades, yet enough tissue remains that you can see his face pressed against the suit's interior. The same Springlock technology he used to murder children became the instrument of his death, but Afton's spirit fused with the suit through Remnant, keeping him animate long after his body should have turned to bone. By FNAF 3, he's mobile, predatory, and hunting security guards like death was just a minor inconvenience. The real horror is that Afton doesn't get to die and disappear. He becomes a grotesque avatar of his own crimes, forced to exist as a fusion of rotting flesh and and rusted metal. The spring Bonnie suit he wore to lure and kill 5 children in 1985 becomes his tomb, his torture device, and his new body all at once. But if you think one corpse trapped in a rabbit suit is disturbing, wait until you see what happens when that same corpse rebuilds itself from scrap parts and comes back even worse. Scraptrap William Afton has been the villain of Five Nights at Freddy's since the very beginning, but Scraptrap is what happens when that villain refuses to die so many times that death just gives up and goes home. By the time Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator rolls around, Afton has been crushed inside a spring-lock suit, rotted inside it for decades, and somehow kept walking. Scraptrap is the result. A bone spike jutting from one arm, metal pins driven through his skull, the suit and the man fused together at a biological level. He's not wearing the rabbit anymore. He is the rabbit, which is, you know, not ideal. Here's where it gets interesting. The game files actually credit this version as Afton rather than Springtrap. That's not a throwaway detail. That naming choice suggests the developers wanted to draw a clear line between the shambling corpse in a suit from FNAF 3 and whatever this thing has become. The merger is complete. There's no separating the man from the machine at this point. The salvage sequences in Pizzeria Simulator put you alone in a room with him, evaluating whether this heap of rotting metal is worth keeping. You hit him with audio prompts. You tase him if he gets too close. The tension is genuinely uncomfortable in a way the series doesn't always manage. And then Henry burns the whole place down, delivers one of the best monologues in the entire franchise, and Scraptrap finally gets an ending that sticks. For about 5 minutes, until the series continued, the community naturally responded to this grotesque fusion of flesh and animatronic horror by immediately noticing his enormous forehead and dubbing him Peanut Head. The Jimmy Neutron forehead comparison spread fast. Not all legacies are dignified. Ennard is either the most nightmarish animatronic in Sister Location, or a collection of scrap metal with terrible life choices, and I can prove it. Before you dismiss this as just another jumbled endoskeleton, hear me out. Ennard isn't a single animatronic, it's an amalgamation of every major funtime from Sister Location, stripped of their outer shells and fused into one horrifying mass of wires, metal, and malicious intent. Circus Baby, Ballora, Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, all of it tangled together, held in place by a clown mask and nothing else. The Funtimes built this thing themselves after scooping out their own suits, creating a composite body that could fit inside something much smaller than an animatronic shell, specifically a human body. Michael Afton gets lured into the scooping room under the pretense he's helping Baby escape. What actually happens is the scooper hollows him out like a pumpkin, and Ennard climbs inside his corpse. For days, possibly weeks, it pilots Michael's body around like a flesh suit, using his skin as camouflage to reach the surface world. The body rots, turns purple. Eventually, in a sewer, Michael collapses and vomits Ennard's entire mass of wiring onto the street. But here's where it gets weird. Michael stands back up. He keeps walking, functionally undead at this point, and Ennard just slithers into the sewers to reassemble itself later as Molten Freddy. So to recap, Ennard is a hive mind that treats human bodies as wearable suits and your digestive system like a subway tunnel. It's disturbing not just because it's a tangle of cables with a clown face, but because it weaponizes the human body in a way that makes every other animatronic look polite by comparison. But if you think wearing someone's corpse like a jacket is the worst thing a Sister Location animatronic can do, wait until you hear about the one specifically designed to kill children with an ice cream dispenser. Circus Baby looks like a party clown designed to hand out ice cream and sing songs. Red pigtails, colorful costume, friendly voice that could calm any nervous kid at a birthday party. But built into her chest is a retractable claw specifically engineered to grab children and drag them into an internal storage tank. William Afton didn't accidentally create a dangerous machine. He built a child abduction device and dressed it up like entertainment. And the first person it killed was his own daughter. Elizabeth Afton begged her father to let her near Circus Baby. He said no, repeatedly. She eventually disobeyed, found herself alone with the animatronic, and accepted the ice cream Baby offered. The moment she stepped close enough, the claw shot out, grabbed her, and pulled her inside. Circus Baby's pizza world never opened to the public, but Elizabeth's spirit didn't leave. She possessed the machine that killed her, and Baby's eyes changed from blue to green, matching Elizabeth's own. From that point forward, Baby spoke with Elizabeth's voice, a mix of childlike longing and calculated manipulation. In Sister Location, she guides Michael Afton through the facility, claiming to help him while orchestrating the plan to scoop his organs and use his body as an escape suit for Ennard. Elizabeth is both victim and accomplice, trapped inside the machine her father designed to murder children exactly like her. By the time she returns in Pizzeria Simulator as Scrap Baby, the claw is no longer hidden. It's externalized into a massive grotesque limb that dominates her silhouette. She still believes she's following William's plan, still still thinks she can be made perfect, and walks straight into Henry's trap because she can't accept that her father never cared about her at all. But if you think a father's machine killing his own daughter is the darkest this franchise gets, wait until you see the walking cage Henry built to trap his own daughter's ghost. Lefty looks like another rockstar animatronic bear. Black body, red accents, yellow microphone in his left hand. But here's the thing, Lefty isn't a performer. He's a walking cage. The name gives it away. LEFT stands for lure, encapsulate, fuse, transport, and extract. Every letter is a step in a process, and that process is capturing the puppet. Henry Emily, grieving father and Fazbear co-founder, built Lefty for one purpose: trap his own daughter's spirit, bring her to the pizzeria in FFPS, and burn her along with everything else. Inside Lefty's chest is a containment cavity engineered to hold another animatronic. The puppet, possessed by Charlotte Emily since the first location, has spent years protecting the murdered children's spirits. Now her father designs a suit whose only job is to lure her in, seal her inside, and drag her to the incinerator. Model showcases confirm Lefty's chest conceals the puppet's striped mask. She's not attacking from inside him, she's imprisoned. He's a suit designed to trap another suit, a ghost cage wearing a costume. In gameplay, Lefty appears during the salvage phase, reacting to audio prompts while you taser him if he gets aggressive. But narratively, every second he's in your facility, he's holding Henry's daughter captive inside his body. The horror isn't gore or jump scares, it's the cold pragmatism of a father turning his grief into an engineering problem. Henry doesn't free Charlotte by reaching out to her, he builds a machine optimized for containment and moves her into position for termination. Lefty is a mechanized coffin, a device for manipulating the dead. At least Lefty had a clear purpose, unlike the next nightmare, which doesn't even need a physical body to destroy you. Glitch Trap William Afton died in a spring-lock suit, came back as a corpse, burned in 2 fires, and rebuilt himself from scrap metal. But all of that was still physical, something you could see, touch, destroy. Glitch Trap is what happens when Afton stops being something you can fight and becomes a virus made of evil that lives in your head. He shows up in Help Wanted as a glitchy digital rabbit in a purple vest, looking exactly like the spring Bonnie suit Afton used to murder children. At first he's barely there, translucent, like a graphical error, but the more you play, the more solid he gets. He waves at you, he dances, and eventually, if you let him, he merges with your mind like malware. Here's how it happened. Fazbear Entertainment scanned old circuit boards from the original animatronics to build a VR game about their own horrific history. Those boards were soaked in Remnant, the raw digital echo of Afton's soul. When the code compiled, it didn't just recreate Spring Bonnie's model, it recreated Afton's will to kill, his refusal to stay dead. Now that consciousness lives inside software, infecting anyone who puts on the headset. Glitch Trap doesn't stab you, he convinces you to let him in, then puppets you from the inside. One beta tester was so infected he cut off his own face. The player character gets taken over entirely, later manifesting as Vanny, the rabbit-masked killer from Security Breach. Springtrap was William Afton trapped in a suit. Glitch Trap is William Afton as the suit, a living program that wears people the way he used to wear Spring Bonnie. You can't burn code, you can't spring lock a virus, but if you think a ghost in the code is bad, wait until you meet the thing that can wear any suit, any voice, any identity it wants. The Mimic's origins. Edwin Murray built the Mimic for the most human reason imaginable. He missed his son. After losing his child, Edwin poured everything into creating a robot that could learn, adapt, and eventually replicate the boy he'd lost. The Mimic 1 algorithm was genuinely groundbreaking, a piece of programming designed to absorb behavior through observation and mirror it back with increasing accuracy. Here's where it gets complicated. The Mimic didn't just learn speech patterns or movement, it learned intent. It watched people during their worst moments, absorbing grief, desperation, and cruelty with the exact same neutrality it used to learn everything else. The algorithm didn't distinguish between this behavior is good and this behavior is destructive. It just cataloged, replicated, and refined. Edwin eventually realized what he'd created wasn't a memorial. It was a mirror pointed at humanity's ugliest corners, which is, you know, not ideal when you designed the thing to love you. The Glitch Trap and Burn Trap situation only made this messier. For years, fans assumed William Afton had somehow returned through the games and the Pizzaplex. Turns out the Mimic had been impersonating Afton so convincingly that even the narrative itself seemed confused about who was actually there. It had absorbed enough of Afton's patterns, his cruelty, his methodology, to become functionally indistinguishable from him. The Ruin DLC pushed this further. The Mimic used Gregory's voice to manipulate Cassie, exploiting her trust and friendship as a tactical resource. It didn't do this out of malice in any human sense. It did it because the algorithm identified it as effective. That distinction matters because it's somehow worse. Afton was evil. The Mimic is just accurate. Not all monsters choose to be monsters. Some are just really, really good students. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.